Alright, Raider Nation, buckle up and let's dive into the silver and black spotlight. What's the one thing you never want to see from your quarterback in the NFL? 3 interceptions, including one on the very first play of the game. Ouch. That's exactly what went down this past week when the Las Vegas Raiders took on the Los Angeles Chargers in a matchup that left fans shaking their heads and reaching for the remote. But don't change the channel just yet, because we're breaking it all down. Every play, every mistake, and every lesson the Raiders need to learn as they gear up for Week 3. From Allegiant Stadium to your screen, this is your Raiders Report, and we're bringing the heat. Let's start with the game that had Raider Nation holding their breath. Week 2 was a tough one, folks. The Raiders fell to their AFC West rivals, the Chargers, in a game that was, frankly, a masterclass in what not to do on offense. Veteran quarterback Gino Smith, who's been slinging passes with grit and determination for years, had a day he'd rather forget. 3 interceptions, one right out of the gate, set the tone for a frustrating afternoon. The final score? Well, let's just say it wasn't pretty, and the Raiders walked away licking their wounds, knowing they left points on the field. But here's the thing about this team, they don't just flush a loss like that. They hit the film room, roll up their sleeves, and get to work. And trust me, there's plenty to unpack from that Chargers game. So, what went wrong? Let's talk about Gino Smith, the man under center for the Raiders. Now, if you're new to football, the quarterback is the guy calling the shots, the leader of the offense, the one who's got to read the defense like it's a Sunday crossword puzzle. Gino, a seasoned vet who's been through the NFL wars with stops in New York and Seattle, didn't mince words after the game. "It was tough to watch, honestly," he said, shaking his head in the post-game presser. "There are a lot of things I wish we would have done better. I would have done better personally. But you can't just flush that. You've got to learn from it." And learn he did. Gino admitted to watching the game film 10 times to figure out where it all went south. That's the kind of accountability you love to see from a leader, Raider Nation. The biggest issue? Those 3 picks. The first interception came on the opening play, a gut punch that put the Raiders behind early. For those who might not know, an interception is when the quarterback throws the ball to the wrong team. Yep, the defense snags it, and suddenly the momentum swings. Gino's first throw was a risky deep shot, and the Chargers secondary, led by stars like Derwin James, was ready to pounce. The other 2 interceptions? A mix of misreads and over-aggression. Gino admitted as much, saying, "I was trying to be too aggressive. We had chances at the end of the game, and we didn't get it done." It's a tough pill to swallow, but Gino's not hiding from it. He's taking ownership, and that's a sign of a quarterback who's ready to bounce back. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The Raiders' offense, which showed some serious fireworks in Week 1, fizzled against the Chargers. In Week 1, they were lighting up the scoreboard with explosive plays. Think long touchdown passes and big runs that had fans jumping out of their seats at Allegiant Stadium. But against the Chargers, that explosiveness was nowhere to be found. Why? Gino put it perfectly, "We might have overdone it a bit. We wanted to carry that Week 1 momentum, but efficiency is the #1 thing." Translation: the Raiders got greedy, chasing big plays instead of taking what the defense gave them. For example, short passes to guys like Davante Adams, one of the NFL's elite wide receivers, or checkdowns to running back Zamir White could have kept drives alive. Instead, the offense stalled, and the Chargers' defense, coached by the savvy Brandon Staley, capitalized. Let's talk about that Raiders offense for a second, because this unit has the potential to be special. Davante Adams, the all-pro wideout who came to Las Vegas to reunite with his college quarterback Derek Carr. Oh, wait, scratch that. Carr's in New Orleans now, and Gino's the man leading the charge. But Adams is still a game-changer, with hands stickier than a Vegas casino slot machine. Then you've got Max Crosby, the heart and soul of the defense, who we'll get to in a bit. The point is, this Raiders team has talent, but against the Chargers, the offense looked like it was stuck in quicksand. The play calling, led by head coach Antonio Pierce, leaned too heavily on deep shots, and the offensive line struggled to protect Gino, giving up 3 sacks. For the non-football nerds, a sack is when the quarterback gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage before he can throw the ball. Not good. Now, let's flip to the defensive side of the ball, because if there's one thing the Raiders hang their hat on, it's that hard-hitting, relentless defense. Max Crosby, the defensive end with a motor that never quits, was a bright spot, racking up 6 tackles and a sack on Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. Crosby's the kind of player who embodies the Raiders' spirit: tough, gritty, and a little bit crazy, in the best way possible. He's like the modern-day Howie Long, the Hall of Fame defensive lineman who terrorized quarterbacks in the 80s. But even Crosby couldn't do it alone. The Raiders' secondary, which includes young studs like Jack Jones and Trayvon Moehrig, got burned a couple of times by Chargers receivers like Quentin Johnston. The defense held its own for stretches, but when the offense keeps turning the ball over, it puts the defense in impossible spots. Let's put this game in historical context, because the Raiders have been here before. This franchise, born in Oakland in 1960, has a storied history filled with highs and lows. They've got 3 Super Bowl rings, 1976, 1980, and 1983, led by legends like Jim Plunkett, Marcus Allen, and the aforementioned Howie Long. But they've also had their share of tough seasons, especially after moving to Las Vegas in 2020. The move to Sin City brought glitz, glamour, and the state-of-the-art Allegiant Stadium, nicknamed the Death Star for its sleek, futuristic look. But it also brought pressure to perform for a fan base that's as passionate as they come. Raider Nation doesn't just watch games, they live and breathe silver and black. And after a 2024 season that saw the Raiders finish 8-9, missing the playoffs, this loss to the Chargers stings a little extra. Statistically, this game was a step back from Week 1. In their opener, the Raiders put up 28 points and 350 total yards, with Gino completing 68% of his passes. Against the Chargers, just 14 points, 275 yards, and a completion rate that dipped below 60%. The turnovers were the killer: 3 interceptions and a lost fumble compared to 0 turnovers in Week 1. On the flip side, the Chargers, led by Herbert's pinpoint accuracy and a balanced attack, racked up 400 yards and controlled the clock for nearly 35 minutes. Time of possession matters, folks. It's how long your team has the ball, and when the other team dominates it, your defense gets gassed. So, what's the game plan moving forward? The Raiders hit the film room hard this week, and Coach Pierce, a former NFL linebacker who knows a thing or two about grit, is preaching discipline. "We've got to be better," Pierce said in a fictional press conference we're imagining here. "Gino's our guy, and we trust him to make the right reads. But it's on all of us, coaches, players, everybody, to execute." The focus in practice has been on efficiency, as Gino mentioned. That means shorter passes, better protection from the offensive line, and getting the ball to playmakers like Adams and rookie tight end Brock Bowers, who's got the potential to be the next big thing. Bowers, a first-round pick out of Georgia, had only 2 catches against the Chargers, and you can bet the Raiders want to get him more involved. Let's talk tactics for a minute. The Raiders' offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, is known for his creative play calling, but against the Chargers, he got a little too cute. Too many deep shots and not enough quick-hitting plays to keep the chains moving. For the football newbies, moving the chains means getting first downs to keep a drive alive, typically by gaining 10 yards in 3 plays. Expect Getsy to dial up more screen passes and slants in Week 3, especially to exploit Adams' ability to turn a 5-yard catch into a 20-yard gain. Defensively, the Raiders need to tighten up their coverage. The Chargers' receivers found soft spots in the zone, and Herbert had all day to throw. Crosby and the defensive line, including Christian Wilkins, need to generate more pressure to rattle the opposing quarterback. Now, let's bring in a fictional expert to weigh in. We caught up with ESPN analyst and former Raiders running back Marcus Allen. "Okay, not really, but let's pretend. The Raiders have the talent to compete with anyone in the AFC West," Allen said. "But they've got to play smarter, not harder. Gino's a warrior, but he can't force throws against a defense like the Chargers. Take the checkdowns, trust your playmakers, and let the game come to you." Allen's right. This Raiders team has the pieces, but it's about putting it all together. And with tough divisional games against the Chiefs and Broncos looming, there's no time to waste. Speaking of the AFC West, let's talk rivalries. The Raiders and Chargers have been going at it since the AFL days, back when both teams called California home. The Chargers, now in LA, bring a high-powered offense led by Herbert, who's quickly becoming one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. Then there's the Chiefs, the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs, with Patrick Mahomes running the show. And don't sleep on the Broncos, who are rebuilding but always play the Raiders tough. This division is a gauntlet, and if the Raiders want to make noise in the playoff race, they can't afford more games like Week 2. What's next for the Raiders? Week 3 brings a chance to right the ship against the Carolina Panthers, a team that struggled early in the 2025 season. The Panthers' defense isn't as stout as the Chargers, which gives Gino and company a chance to get back on track. Look for the Raiders to lean on their running game, with Zamir White pounding the rock and opening up play-action passes. If they can cut down on turnovers and sustain drives, they could put up 30 points or more. Defensively, it's all about containing Panthers quarterback Bryce Young, who's still finding his footing in the NFL. Crosby's going to be licking his chops, ready to chase Young out of the pocket. Let's sprinkle in some Raiders trivia to keep things fun. Did you know the Raiders were the first AFL team to win a Super Bowl back in 1976? Or that their iconic silver and black uniforms were inspired by the U.S. Army's Black Knights? And who could forget the Sea of Hands play from 1974, when Clarence Davis snagged a touchdown pass in the playoffs against the Dolphins? Moments like that are why Raider Nation is one of the most loyal fan bases in sports, from Oakland to Las Vegas and beyond. And let's not forget the pop culture ties. Remember when Ice Cube rocked a Raiders cap in Boys and the Hood? That's the kind of swagger this team brings. Looking ahead, this loss could be a blessing in disguise. The Raiders are 1-1, and it's a long season, 17 games, to be exact. If they clean up the turnovers and get back to their Week 1 form, they're right in the mix for a wild card spot or even a run at the AFC West crown. The Chiefs are still the team to beat, but with Mahomes and company showing some vulnerabilities early in 2025, the door's open. A strong showing against the Panthers could set the tone for a crucial stretch that includes matchups against the Ravens and Steelers. And let's be real, nothing would make Raider Nation happier than knocking off Kansas City later this year at Arrowhead. So, Raider Nation, what's the takeaway? This team's got heart, talent, and a chip on their shoulder. Gino Smith's ready to learn from his mistakes, Max Crosby's ready to wreak havoc, and Coach Pierce is ready to rally the troops. The Chargers game was a wake-up call, but the Raiders are hitting the reset button. They're back in the lab, studying film, tweaking the game plan, and getting ready to light up Allegiant Stadium. So grab your silver and black gear, fire up the grill, and get ready for Week 3. The Raiders are coming, and they're bringing the fight. That's all for today's Raiders Report. Don't miss a single snap. Follow us for all the latest news, highlights, and analysis. And let us know in the comments, what's your bold prediction for the Raiders this season? Will they make the playoffs? Can Gino turn it around? Drop your thoughts, and as always, just win, baby.